Hello and welcome or welcome back. My name is Marvelous Marva, and today just wanted to talk about everything and everyone playing their part in your life and how, without knowing, we assigned the roles that they're playing. So, what does this mean to me? Basically, what it means is that every interaction that we're having with other people outside of ourselves is first and foremost on track and supposed to be happening. And then secondly, it's definitely teaching us something. So lately I've been talking about interacting with different people and how, processing how each interaction has made me feel. And it's definitely got me thinking wow, we're all helping each other. If you've heard that saying, we're all walking each other home. Literally, no matter if the interaction is good or if the interaction is what we call bad or uncomfortable, or if we feel that it's spectacular, amazing, all the adjectives. For each person that we interact with, we come up with ideas in our mind of, how it made us feel and possibly why this happened to us. I like to say happened for us because everything definitely is for our highest good. It is helping us along our journey to get to wherever it is that we're trying to get to. For each person, it looks different. And so I think it's important to know that just because, you have an interaction and it feels uncomfortable, or you call it a bad interaction, or you don't like how it made you feel, doesn't mean that you have to hold on to that. You can see it for what it is. It's a learning experience. If it was something that made you feel uncomfortable, then you can examine within yourself the layers of anxiety that you may have, the stories that you've been telling yourself around whatever the interaction was. So an example would be if you interact with someone at work, for instance, and it doesn't go good, your boss all of a sudden messages you and tells you that you're not doing a great job or that you made a mistake. You can either hear that and just go inside yourself and just start telling yourself all these negative things, or you can hear that and take it as constructive criticism and say, thanks for letting me know. This is something that I probably should be working on, or that I could, take some more time to learn. And so when you kind of transform it in your mind of, whenever you put that label on how the interaction was for you, that's what's going to kind of play out. And you might continue to get more lessons like that. If your reaction is, more of why is this happening to me? And I don't understand, nothing in my life is going the way that I want it to. Then you might keep getting that same kind of trigger, that thing that happened might show up. It might show up in a different person, a different interaction, but it may still have that same kind of flavor of the last interaction that was similar. So if you can remind yourself that everything is happening for me, not to me, then that kind of separates yourself from the thing that's happening. And then you can remember that, I'm an amazing being that's full of, light and energy. And honestly, we're not our physical bodies. If you get really quiet and just be still and really feel the vibration that's happening underneath your skin, then you can realize, hey, I'm not just this body, this person that's walking around with all these emotions. That's a part of me, but that's not all of me. I'm much higher. We're extensions of God. God separated himself into all of these different fragments, and we're all trying to put ourselves together, even though we're already together. So I hope that makes sense. But I wanted to just kind of remind myself that everything and everyone is playing their part in our lives. And without us even knowing, we have assigned those roles to those people, and we get to experience it and see how it makes us feel. And then we can either let go of the story of my boss is always mad, or men are always bad, or women are always bad, or the government is, like my safe place, or whatever the stories is that you're telling yourself. When you can separate yourself from the things that trigger you and make you feel some type of way, then you can see clarity there, and you can realize I'm not any of that stuff. And I'm glad that these things are showing up, so that way I can move past that. I can remind myself that I'm not that. Sure, it may feel uncomfortable in the moment when it's happening, but you can remind yourself that you're not that. Oh, here's a quick story. So I went to the movies recently, just this past weekend, to go see The Blackening. A friend of mine suggested it, and she was like, oh, it was so funny. Me and my friend, we laughed. The whole theater was just laughing. So I went. I took another friend, a friend of mine's, and we went, and the movie didn't hit the same way that it hit my friend, how it hit us. The friend that I brought with me, she sat through almost maybe an hour and 30 minutes of it. I think it's almost a 2-hour movie. She sat through most of it, and towards the end, we're thinking, maybe it's going to get even better. But it didn't. It just, if you have seen the movie, or if you've seen the previews, it's just a silly kind of movie. It's one of those movies where they're pushing the envelope. And so that movie, definitely, I could tell, like, once I sat down and the movie started and the opening screen, it was just like, it said black, and it just like slowly came towards us. And I was like, oh, this is about to be some kind of a triggering kind of thing. I just knew. I don't know why I knew, but I just knew. I found parts of the movie to be funny, but I'm more of a kind of sci-fi kind of person, so I wasn't that intrigued by it. I only could relate to jokes that I've heard in the past from other people, and I can understand based on that, even though I know it's super silly. Why is this humor? But for my friend, she was not having it. She asked towards after that hour or so of us sitting there enduring, all of the feelings, she was like, are you going to be okay? Because I'm about to go. And I was like, no, we can both go. I was like, I've had enough too. And so we left, and she was like, it's just hurting my heart. Like, it seems like we're going backwards with that movie. And I've been thinking about it for the past couple of days, and I was like, I understand all of this stuff is happening for a reason, to show us something. And I was like, what could that have been showing us? And I don't know. So far, I've come up with possibly to trigger us to the point where we can be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's either that, or you can completely honor yourself and say, no, there's certain things that I enjoy watching. There's certain things that I don't. Say, for instance, it's a movie about someone like torturing small children. And that's like the whole movie. And they kind of switched it up and made it into a comedy. And how long would you, in your right mind be able to sit and watch, a child being tormented or sexually assaulted or whatever it is? Like, how long would you allow yourself to be triggered by that and not get up and say, no, enough is enough? So I found it commendable for my friend who went inside of herself and said, enough is enough. I found it interesting for myself, who sat through most of it and found the parts that were funny, found the duality in it all, and was like, this is going to exist whether I want it to or not. And I can find, I can find the reasons why other people are finding it funny. But at the same time, I know deep down in my heart, that's not the type of thing that I want to program in my brain all the time. We're whole like databases and computers. We can program ourselves by repetition and by our focus. And if we're constantly focused on those things, then that's what's going to, kind of drive us. So I don't know. I hope that story kind of shed a little bit more light on what it is that this episode is about. Again, I'll repeat the title. Everything and everyone is playing their part in your life, and we assign the roles without even knowing. And so for my friend, I'm playing the part of, hey, let's go try this. And, instead of us being like, or instead of her being like, I don't like your taste in movies, I'm not going to ever hang out with you again. She's like, I didn't like that movie. It wasn't about us as individuals. It was about the movie. And we're still friends. And now we both understand, hey, this is not something that lights us up, so we don't want to go do it. And we can choose other activities, but we don't have to, she didn't have to say, oh, Marva's choice in movies is terrible. I'm never going out with her again. And I didn't have to say, oh, my friend is not brave. She wanted to leave the movie, or I wasn't done, and none of those things are true. I don't know. I feel like it's growth in all levels of everything. I feel like everything that we go through is helping us to grow. And so with that, I'm going to leave today's episode here. I hope that this made some sense, and I trust that it did, because whenever I talk about something and I go back and I listen to the episodes, I'm like, wow, that does make sense. And I find clarity even in just re-listening to myself. This is one of the biggest outlets for me in order to express like my feelings and express all the things that I'm learning and that's happening around us. And there are some people that are experiencing similar things at the same time as me. And I feel like if I don't express what it is that I need to say, then I'll just like sit in my brain and I won't like push it out to where it could possibly help others. So again, with that being said, this is the last time I'm going to say it, but with that being said, that's the end of today's episode. Wherever you are, whether it's morning, noon, or night, have a good one. Until next time.